Hello, I'm Ted Shannon, and today with this exercise demonstration we're going to be focusing on the gut wrench. In a typical freestyle or Greco match, after you take someone down, you can really blow a match wide open by getting multiple turns, and a gut wrench is an excellent tool to do just that. Through this exercise demonstration we are really going to focus on the principle of specificity. We want to create specific adaptations to impose demands. In order to understand the adaptations we need to create, it is best if we first look at the skills on the mat we are focusing on so that we can then implement methods in the weight room to get the best transfer of training effect.
Yeah, I'm just a fan of throws.
Yeah.
Who isn't?
And that's going to tie it up 6-6.
Like that. That's what I mean. And
that's going to be a 1.
Take
but
the lead.
The 6-6 score was a lead for Spieler, but not anymore. And B6.
At the gut wrench, we are looking at a physical task in which the hands and arms control and the hips and the legs execute. It is not often thought of as a slick technique, but rather a grinding motion that can take up to 15 seconds of sustained maximum isometric muscle contraction in the arms and a powerful bridging rotational action through the midsection.
Gotta be careful here for Hodge. Can't crawl forward. And Mango looks like he's got that locked up.
And there's going to be 2.
And
so let's take a look at how a gut wrench works on the mat.
Okay, so right here, I squeeze, drive, step by inside, extend, step by outside, extend, and it can come through. Tripod, okay, he's going this way. Don't fight it and go against it. Go with it. Step high in, step right out. There's your gut.
We're going to now look at the 4 major ways that people do gut wrenches improperly. When we look at those 4 mistakes, we can then look at specific ways in the weight room to improve those errors so that our gut wrench can become unstoppable. The phases of our exercise are going to correspond with common technique mistakes. I will first demo on the mat the error in proper performance, and then we will look at drills to improve that specific error. The first error we're going to look at is not squeezing properly.
People don't squeeze properly with their elbows. They're just pinching with their hands. There's still wiggle room here. So if I'm locked here, I'm not squeezing with my elbows, there's all this gap. So then as I start to go through my gut wrench, I'll slide here, and this is really dangerous because he can start stepping over me, and then I'm in trouble. So I need to pinch my elbows properly in order to not slide off. So right here, my elbows are pinched on his ribs. I'm not going to slide. He becomes part of my body, so as I turn, he has to turn with me because my elbows are pinched and it's tight.
The correction for not squeezing properly and the first phase of our drilling is to practice squeezing a D-ball.
This D-ball, med ball, because there's a little bit of compression that I can get, and I'm going to lock my butterfly grip, and as I squeeze, I'm going to pinch my elbows. So I'm not just pulling my hands towards me, I'm going to pinch my elbows as I squeeze, and I'm going to squeeze as hard as I can up to 15-second bouts. And that's really important. It's something unique, it's something that where we have a good transfer of training effect, and it's very specific to the sport of wrestling. If I'm doing different types of rows or pull-ups, I'm pulling muscles, but that pinch with my elbows, it's hard to duplicate just with dumbbells or barbells. So, how can we correct this? You can watch the person, you can see if they're squeezing down with their elbows, but then you can put them with another person. And if they're in a tripod, right here, if they aren't squeezing with their elbows and they're here, you tell them to pick up their feet. If they're not squeezing with their elbows, they'll fall off. Whereas if I'm locked and I'm squeezing with my elbows, I can hang on one side and my grip doesn't slip I can throw myself on the other side, my grip doesn't slip. If they can do that, they know how to squeeze with their elbows and not just pinch with their hands.
The second error we're going to look at is not bridging through to finish the motion.
Is that people don't arch through their finish. So if I'm locking up a gut here and I'm going to take him through, and I'm going to take him through, if I just roll sideways here, I get it locked up, let's say I take him through, if I don't arch, he posts up and then he can start turning into me and I get in trouble here. So even though I might have turned him, he can post up and he's going to get me in trouble. In addition, if I just roll across my back, the referees can give 2 points for me because I exposed his back, but he can also get 2 points due to my flawed technique because my back is also exposed. The third thing, if in rotational motions, you don't want your lower back flexed. If I'm rotating and flexed, that's much harder on my back than if I have an arch in my back, or just a neutral spine. And as I'm watch my bridge at the very end. From here, lock down his ribs, extend, and then I come through facing up. Even if he comes to his butt, I'm still behind him. I'm not laying on my side. I've exploded through the move.
The correction and second phase of our drilling is to use the bone to emphasize strong rotational effort.
I'm locked up here, my partner's going to hold the other end. I'm going to get locked, biceps deep, I'm nice and tight, and now as I go through, right here I'm going to really concentrate on arching my bridge. So I'm right here, I'm going to arch my bridge and really push with my feet. And again, we're going to sustain this hold. I'm going to bridge and hold. I'm going to go back the other way. I'm going to bridge and hold. And really concentrate on that. And that's another thing, wrestling specific, that's hard to, it's hard to get that full specificity with any other implement. There's other rotational things we can work on, but rotating and bridging and providing hard resistance, the bone works great for that.
The third error is not driving forward to defeat the arms posting.
Driving with your feet and beating his arms. When he posts his arms out here, and he can, rotate them out and all that kind of stuff, in order for me to beat his arms, I have to drive forward and through. If I just get to my gut wrench here and I lock and he starts crawling forward, he's gonna roll my lock and I'm not gonna get the gut wrench. So what I need to do is beat him to the punch and start driving him forward so I can drive over the arm. So once I'm locked here, my lock centered, my head centered, my feet are centered, the very first thing I do is double extend straight up. My chest is behind my lock. When I do that, his hips are elevated and I start driving him off his post. So if I'm right here, I extend up and then I step up, As I continue to drive forward here, I beat this post. So I need to continue forward pressure and not simply roll to the side. So I need to double extend my feet, double extend, step high inside, step high outside, and then I'll beat his arms.
The correction and third phase of drilling is to use the bone to emphasize double extension with our legs, a high step inside, and then a high step outside.
Now we're concentrating on our footwork. Right here, I'm going to, again, lock, my head centered, my lock centered. I'm going to get my chest behind my lock. I'm going to double extend, feet inside, up, and then I'm in, around, and then through. Again, we're concentrating on driving forward, not just spinning to the side. So I double extend, I step high inside, step high outside, and then I turn. It's not just squeeze and turn. So that forward drive is super important for a good gut wrench, and that's what we're focusing on. I'm lock centered, My chest is behind my lock. I extend up, in, around, and through.
The fourth error we are going to look at is telegraphing the direction of the gut wrench.
Is that people telegraph what side they're going to go to. And in international wrestling, if you can only go one way and that person is scouting you, he only knows you can go right to left, he's going to already put his knee out and turn that way. So then by doing that, he glues this hip down and he has extra post this way. So if he knows I can only gut wrench this way, I'm here, my head is already telegraphed this side, my legs are already telegraphed this side. This is my wrench arm. It's really deep, locked in. Right here, he knows I'm going to the left. So immediately he's posting, and there's no way I'm going to turn him there. So ideally, when we lock up, we want our head centered, our lock centered, and our feet centered. So right here, when I load up, right here, even though I still have a preference to go to the left, I can go either way. So in case he does cheat, once I lock right here, if he posts out to stop me going this way, I can still come back that way if I'm centered. So I just keep my head here instead of having it buried over. If my head is centered, my lock is centered, my feet are centered, I can go either direction. So right here, I extend up, step high on the same direction he's cheating towards, step high inside, step high outside, and then drive through on the gut wrench.
The correction and fourth phase of our drilling is to use the bone to emphasize head-centered, lock-centered, and feet-centered. And along with that, we will have our partner call the direction at which to hit the gut wrench.
Is really attempting to mimic as much competition speed and competition power as we can. So what I'm going to first do, I'm going to get everything centered. I'm going to drive up, and then he's going to call a direction, and then I'm going to hit that way. So the final parts of the move, I'm going to do it instinctively and quickly. So I'm all locked up, my head centered, my lock centered, my feet are centered. I push up, and then he calls left. And I'm hitting that direction. And again, he can mix it up randomly. He's going to wait for me to get my double extension with my feet, and then he's going to call. And what that's doing is it's mimicking someone who feels the gut wrench start. They stick their knee up to avoid going one direction, and we're going to go the other direction. So again, I'm all locked. I double extend, right. It's instinctive, it's quick. I'm listening, I'm going to hear it, and I'm going to take my final 2 steps as fast and as explosive as I can. That's our demonstration for different phases and different equipment we can use to get better at our gut wrench. Again, we can start with the D-ball, working on our lock. We can go to the dummy, working on our rotational strength and driving with our hips. The next thing we can do is really work on driving forward with our double extension, high inside step, high outside step. And then we can also finally work on that competition speed, that competition explosiveness, and making a quick reaction to whatever he gives us. So that's our exercise drills for the group.
Yeah. Kept his hips down.
Look at that gut, though. That is gut. Oh, nice. And he's going
Another
again.
one.
That might have been a broken floating.
3.
Good.
There it is.
That's match.
4. Wow.
Match.
Wow. They didn't even waste, no time
You
there.
know what's not fun tomorrow?
What's that?
Laughing.
Laughing.
Laughing. When you get horse wrenched